Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We took a hiatus last week, but Kev, we're back to talk some football.
We're back to talk some
Football.
football.
Apologies to all the folks who are listening to a guy who sounds like he smoked a pack a day. I am currently dealing with a case of bronchitis. Kev, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I heard you caught it in Philly.
Yeah, it's the rhinovirus. Actually, it's a mixture of monkeypox and the Spanish flu. So, yeah, currently dealing with that. It's a new strain. They're gonna call it the Tyler epidemic or something. I don't know.
I thought
Um,
your voice was just hoarse from yelling at Jalen Hurts, but I guess
not look. All right. I said going into that game, they have to score 30 points for me to be anywhere near happy, and I'll be goddamned if they didn't score 31. So, yeah. So I gotta be happy. It is what it is. But let's get into this. Kevin, I think you have something special planned for the folks at home, and I am very, very interested to see what this beautiful mind, has to offer.
all right. So I have been thinking there's been a lot of frustrations. Notre Dame is at the ACC commissioner's throat. Nobody seems to be questioning Bama getting in, but all that aside, I have an idea. So Tyler, go ahead, click the mouse. This is
Okay.
Kevin's plan to elevate college one more, football one more, under one more, consideration for the status quo one more,
That's not, that's okay. Never mind.
one more. Whee! Pretty cool. All right, one more. All right, one more.
Okay. So that's
All
where
right.
that went. Okay.
So
All right,
here
ladies and gentlemen, we have a firm grasp on PowerPoint. Good job. Yay.
took me so long to figure out that football thing, but all right. I do think this is what the college football playoff committee should go to. So, first things
That's what I
first,
believe.
we need to go back to 11 game regular seasons. I don't like
Yeah.
6-6 teams making a bowl game, even though that was the Hokies for a while. But I think you should have a winning record, not a 500 record to make a bowl game.
Okay.
Another point is, I mean, say Alabama goes and wins the national championship, they will have played 17 games this season. That's an NFL regular season. I know the players are getting paid now, but that's a lot for college athletes to be playing football for 17 games. So then number two, as you'll see there, I think the conference championship runner-ups cannot fall from a spot in the penultimate college football rankings. Another note
So
on
the
that,
rankings are essentially frozen after, like, before the championship
they
games, is
can
what you're
move
saying.
up, they can jump somebody, but they can't because you
Yeah.
you see BYU
Uh,
probably is in if
okay.
they just
I
don't
don't
play.
know if I agree with you can't punish players, but you can award them. That's what I
Well,
will say to that.
it's because there's so many teams that are gonna make the college football playoff that do not have to play a conference championship game, so they essentially get a
That's fair.
bye. Like Texas A&M got a bye, Ole Miss got a bye, and I think that's the only way to make it fair is if you play in a conference championship, you can't be punished. Also, I think we gotta stop calling it the penultimate college football rankings. I don't like that. That's a really tough word. I had to look it up. It means
My
second
God,
to
Kev,
last.
come on, man.
I know the NFL is trying to court the European audience, but we don't need to be doing that in college football. We don't need to be throwing words like that around, making people feel less for having to Google what penultimate means. That's
So,
not
okay, so I'm hearing you. Your complaint is that you don't want college fans to know what a big word is?
well, I don't care if they know it or not. I just don't want the NCAA to be batting
Alright.
us over the head with it,
No, I
saying
get that.
like,
Okay,
oh,
but
anyhow.
wait, let me ask you some questions, poke your brain a little bit. So, first things first, with the 11-game regular season, would you have the season start a week later, or would you have there be, like, a bigger gap?
You
You're
get
saying there
two
would be a
buys.
bigger.
Two
Gotcha,
buys.
okay, that'd be cool.
I think that
And you
keeps
almost
players
gotta think
healthy.
about, well, if they change that, then how do they also, well, I guess you're saying the season would end on the same date, right?
You just get an extra
So
bye week.
another rule change, kind of on timing perspective. Oh my God, Sam Darnold just threw a third pick. My good lord. Um, yeah, the Rams are just beating them up, man. Okay, back to topic. Nah, so I think the other rule change would definitely have to be the coaching, like, deadline change has to change as well because that just got all screwy. But other than that, I mean, 16-team playoff sides, let's do
Yes.
it.
So yeah, this was last year's college football playoffs. Just take us back. If everyone remembers, last year they had the rule where to get the first round bye, you had to be conference champion. That kind of ended up backfiring because not a single 1 through 4 seed made it to the next round. They lost their first game. And I think half of that was due to the fact that, like, UGA, well, especially like Arizona State, Boise State, they weren't in the top 4 teams there. I think UGA and Oregon were the right 1 and 2. But
Mhm.
the other part is they are essentially sitting for 5 weeks, I believe, 4 weeks at least. So there's some ring rust that I think comes into play, and it is almost an advantage to be playing the week before in one of the first round games, especially in a home crowd. That is, I think, last year. Then on top of that aspect, last year nobody had any fun watching the first round games because they were all blowouts.
That's true. Yeah, they were.
And so we already had the blowouts. Now, here's what I'm thinking. If you'll click the next slide, I think we do 16 teams. And this is what it would have looked like this year. Yeah, we'll see. We got the little mystery ones there. But
You
as
want
you
me
can
to do
see,
the
it
rapid
all
fire?
looks, yeah, everyone you see there right now is one of the 12 teams that made it. But if you do a little click, every time you click, one of these will drop away. So yeah, we have Tulane and JMU. Well, I guess let me take a step back. The way this
Yeah.
bracket works, 8 conference champions make the college football playoffs. The 8 highest ranked conference champions. I think opening that up, it gives every team something to play for, makes games more interesting down the stretch. I mean, the American Athletic Conference was so exciting this year, and I
It
think part of
was.
that
It
was because
was.
there was that spot in the CFP on the line. Now, if you'll see, there's no buys because, as I said, I don't think it really does much, especially when, like I said, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, they already got a bye by not having to play in conference championship. So this bye stuff, I don't like it. What you do get is the top 4 seeds are going to be playing what will usually play like work out as the 4 lowest ranked teams, which are going to be those 4 Power 5 or Group of 5 conference champions. So they essentially do get a bye if you kind of subscribe to the notion that in college football, you're not going to get big upsets like this.
Let me know when I can interrupt you.
Let me think. Yeah, no, keep now. What do you think? What do you think?
I was about to say something about how I'm being very patient, but considering how late it is, but then I remembered you switched the nights for me, so I can't complain. So two things. One, did you make this? Because this is pretty.
The picture, kind of. Well, I took a picture and then I
Oh,
edited
I
Boise
see what
State,
you're.
Duke.
I got you. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, that then my other question is so eight highest rated conference champions. So you essentially are just leaving out one of the group of fives at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, and then looking at this bracket though, I'm only counting three. So we're missing the Mountain West and the MAC.
Yes, because the way it worked out this year, and so maybe it's not the 8
It
conference
would be
champions.
seven.
It's you get the top 12 teams and then the next 4 conference champions. Like Duke
Oh, I see what
being the
you're saying.
champion is
So if
kind
a
of what
conference
threw a wrinkle in
champion,
that.
if yeah,
Yeah, because Duke would be the second to last ranked conference champion in this.
I'm with you. I'm with you now.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, I threw
So
this
let,
together
let, let
pretty quickly, but the main thing is you still kind of get the buys for the top 4 seeds in that they're going to be
right
playing teams that they
cookies.
should
Yeah.
beat 10 times out of 10. But this way, you open the field to most of the college football world,
Yeah. And
and
looking at
you,
this, man, I would say this BYU Oregon would be a good game. Notre
yeah,
Dame Ole
good
Miss be a
matchups.
fantastic game.
And you
I,
don't have Notre Dame pouting. You don't
Yeah,
have
well, I have thoughts, and when we get to the next slide, I have, like, headlines I wanna discuss before we
okay,
get into
because
the
I also have
games.
some thoughts. I was trying to figure out when I want to unload
when we
on
wanna,
my
like,
Notre Dame
kind of
stuff.
rant, I kinda wanna go on a rant, but it's fine. Um, no, I mean, this would be cool, I think. And it's gonna be tough to convince people to not have the buys because I think the buys are so integrated into just like, well, not really in college though. I don't know.
We'll see
And
what happens this year with, the
yeah,
change from this year as opposed to last year is they got rid of the rule where you have to be a conference champion to get a first round bye. So like that's why we see Ohio State
right,
in there as the number 2 seed, which I think is the right way. Um, but say 2 weeks from now we're talking and the same thing happened where all the teams with the bye got upset, or
right.
even if half of them, even if Ohio State drops or Texas Tech drops one, like, I think that will be justification in my mind enough to say that, "Hey, 6 out of 8 of the first round buys in the first 2 years of the college football playoff lost." So the bye is not an advantage, it's a disadvantage when you have a
Hmm.
team playing, and that's
That's
why I
an
think,
interesting take. Definitely.
yeah, not to even, like, bury the lead on some of these other, but, like, the JMU and Tulane, I think they're more of a live dog than people are saying just because they
I
played
saw your
last week.
picks. Yeah,
The other
yeah.
teams are on a 2-week hiatus, so, yeah, that's just kind of,
All right.
trauma dumping on you there, but, yeah,
Oh, we
that's
love
my
the trauma
thoughts.
dump. This show is basically a therapy session, Kev. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
and
All right,
actually for all the viewers at home, Tyler and I are playing in the last place game of our fantasy football league this week as well, so
Kev. It just goes to show.
you're in good
I think
hands.
that's proof we've maybe forgotten a little bit about professional football this year, but it is what it is.
I would say
Um,
so, yeah.
okay. Okay, folks. Obviously, we got 4 CFP games, some better than others. I think it's a clear split down the middle, which ones I'm talking about there. We're gonna get into all of them. But Kev, I got highlights and news headlines to talk about with you. So,
Alright, and real
quarter
quick, I wanna give you your flowers because last or 2 weeks ago, the conference championship picks, on that Saturday, you didn't get a single one wrong.
no,
You got the
no,
parlay wrong,
I got the JMU covering wrong.
but that
But I
was
did go
Friday,
seven
yeah.
and three. I did go 7-3 straight up. I do want to note this actually. You brought up a good point. With that 7-3, I know that 52 and 63 is below 500. You take away the vibe check parlays, and I'm gonna beat this drum. I'm over 500 on the year. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. That being said, portals, quarterbacks. Kevin, I'm going to list 5 of these names, and 3 of them I think are guys that can get better positions, and 2 of them I think are going to flop. I want you to guess which. We got
Okay.
Lagway from Florida, Raiola from Nebraska, Sorsby from Cincinnati, Sam Levitt from Arizona State, and Prabula from Missouri. Which 3 of those do you think I believe are going to be getting a better position somewhere?
Raiola,
Yep,
you've been touting that horn
I have.
for the last 3 months. I People were high on Lagway at the beginning of this season. I don't know if it was just he had the wrong coaches, but I think there's a lot of talent there, so I also think he's gonna do better at his next stop. I don't know
Eh,
if that you think he's gonna be a bust.
yeah,
Interesting.
I think he's gonna be a bust.
Well, I don't
Same
think
with Prabula.
I was gonna say Prabula, I do have concern, like, he had some good moments at Missouri, but I do think he might be a bust. Um, oh,
It
and
is a
sorry,
packed house over there. My
yeah,
God.
yeah, we got graduation weekend for my cousin. Anyway,
Wait, is it Zach?
yeah, Zach, yeah, our, guest picker
Ah, dude,
extraordinaire.
you you gotta
Well,
bring
actually,
him
he
in at
already
the end.
graduated. It's his girlfriend's she's graduating, and they're kind
Okay.
of pimping out our house for it, so
You gotta bring Zach in at the end of the episode. I'll pause it and we'll start streaming again,
he's
okay?
not here right now.
All right, whatever.
I know, I'm
Um,
sorry, but then wait,
Go ahead. We were talking about
Actually, I guess we got
QBs.
through
I
both of your busts. I
we
guess
got
could
through
you
'em.
explain
Yeah.
why you think Lagway is gonna be a bust? And then do you think Dylan
Yeah,
Raiola is going to
I think
Texas Tech?
I think it's more because I think, Florida as a whole was just disappointing, and Lagway had so much hype around this year, and I think he could have made a big move if he stuck at Florida, a program where he's doing good. But I think he's making kind of a knee jerk decision, and that's gonna happen a lot. But I'm gonna try to mute it every time I have to cough my guts up. But yeah, it's kind of like that. I just think it's too knee jerk of a reaction for him. I think if he stayed at Florida, maybe under a new coach, it could see some promise, but nah. And I look at his play style, he doesn't look good in clutch scenarios. That's what it comes down to me. Um, all right, but yeah,
I actually think I agree with you if he had stayed at Florida because it's the Tulane coach, right, is coming
yep,
down to
Summer
Flo and
Raw.
also, Summerall, what a class act donating the 100K to the Tulane NIL fund.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
class.
I like what you're saying. If he had stayed at Florida, I think Summerall could have been some it'll all depend where he ends up. I do think he's got some raw talent, but there's plenty of guys who have that raw talent, have the arm,
Yep.
have the athleticism, but they just end up not being able to read college defensive schemes, and then it happens in the NFL for great college players. You can't read NFL defensive schemes. So we'll
Yeah, I could see him maybe going to try to, maybe in Arkansas or in Missouri or something like that, to take the place of these guys, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then Brandon Sorsby, I think he was actually the star on Cincinnati's teams. A lot of their wins were because of him. At one point, he was even in the Heisman contention. And great googly moogly, the Seahawks are about to make a comeback somehow. But yeah, wow, that's great. And then Sam Levitt, honestly, that's just the vibes on what I've heard about the guy. I haven't watched that many games of his. Um, Sharon Moore, you want to start or you want me to start?
what a whirlwind that
Dude,
was reading ESPN
it
banner
gets
notifications.
dark
Holy
quick in that
yeah.
story. My good lord. So first things first, one thing I want to say. Yes, the girl was 22 years old. Yes, she is a grown woman and all that. Anybody who's like calling her out has just as much to blame. Shut up. Like, no, that's so
There's a
far.
power
And like,
dynamic there that yeah.
yeah, the power dynamic there is just wrong. Like, and I don't want to hear that. Oh, you're just calling her immature. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying she got like she was trying to please this guy who's like the boss and all that. Like, and then turns out that Sharon Moore is the wackiest of the whole bunch. Oh my God. Did you hear about like the phone calls and everything that were happening after the fact? He's
Yeah.
threatening to kill himself, and it's like
Well, he showed up at her
now you
house.
got a whole investigation into Michigan to see how deep the corruption kind of goes. And you almost got to wonder, like, what guy in 2023 said he will sell the soul of Michigan for that win? Like, seriously. And yeah, we're still talking about him, but it's like, oh, Michigan man honor. And no, I'm sorry. You guys are at now ground zero of accountability. Like, that's it.
Yeah, and it's not just it's not just Sharon Moore either. I mean, they've had, I would say, a dozen coaches now in the last 3 years have to
Yep.
leave in disgrace, and it one thing, and this isn't in defense of Sharon Moore, this is more like, what the hell was the AD doing? Like, they knew that he was in a bit of a mental health crisis. They fire
Right.
him with no HR person present, and
Yep.
then, then he goes and he has a huge crash out.
Y You
There's
wanna
some
hear something nuts?
culpability.
I I heard his wife found out about the affair because of the news break.
I mean,
And here's
you
another
gotta
thing I
feel for
wanna
her for do they have
you
kids?
gotta feel for her, you gotta feel for the kids.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't know what Sharon Moore's deal is. Apparently, he posted bail or whatnot, and his wife was with him. I don't know if that means she's sticking it out or whatever. And the other thing is this: if Michigan beats Ohio State, Sharon Moore's still there. That I like 100%. If they beat Ohio State and Michigan got into the playoffs, they don't have enough to me of a resume of doing the right thing to make me think that he wouldn't still be coaching.
My
That's what it is.
speculation is they try their damnedest to sweep that under the rug if he beats Ohio State.
Exactly.
I think there's part of the AD office that saw this as an opportunity to get rid of Sharon Moore. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
it's one of those things where, like, I hate it and I love it, you know what I mean? Like, I hate
I
it
mean, it's
because it detracts
fascinating.
from the
It's
game, but I also love it because it's like, the headlines are what draws it to make it a bigger sport, and, yeah, we're spending a lot of time talking about it. Oh, another thing, ODU, nice upset win last night against USF in their bowl game. I don't know if you saw any of that.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Now there was a missed pass interference call.
Yeah, yeah, I did see that.
Did you saw that
Really
one?
physical game too, man. Players were
It was
getting hurt
yeah, they
left
were
and
at
right.
each I mean, they were there was
It
personal
was
foul.
good.
It was a
Backyard brawl ball. It was good to watch. It was fun to watch.
it was, yeah.
Um, then, oh, another thing, Kalshi, that trading app thing is now offering bets for students entering portals. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's I mean, to be honest, I would have thought they were already doing that.
Yeah,
Just if you had asked me like a week ago, I would have guessed,
that's
yes, they're
fair.
doing it, but it does pose some real issues.
If there's going to be any player that you would put like a lot of money on to enter the portal after playoffs, who is it?
After the playoffs,
Or just at all, I guess.
well, I mean, like, Dylan Raiola was already in there.
R-
Arch Manning.
Okay, that's a sleeper pick. I was gonna go with Kawan Lacey from Ole Miss.
Oh, that's yeah, I mean, that it seems like there's gonna be quite a few Ole Miss players going to LSU,
Yeah, nah, it
but
does seem
yeah.
like that. Oh, and Heisman, we got to talk about that. Fernando Mendoza, we kept him on the list, so we were kind of right. Um, Diego Pavia, you're an idiot.
It's tough. Yeah, he
I
really I mean, I know you've been riding him this year.
Yeah, I've been riding him in the sense that I like what he's done for the Vanderbilt story. Look, he's gone now, and like I said last week, yeah, his stock with the whole F Indiana thing went down way, way low for a draft. It went way up for the reality TV thing that I brought up.
No, you're
Before.
I think that might have been one of our best predictions all season was your idea for the reality show, and listen, it's he's a star athlete. He's what? I know he's old, like, but maybe 24, 25. Like, he got drunk. He made that, if I
Yeah,
won't look you in the eyes and say, like, when we were that age, we didn't, say really dumb stuff. So,
no, well,
but
okay. The difference is we weren't potentially about to make contracts for
true,
millions and millions of dollars.
true.
Let's call
Yeah,
a
that's
spade
that's a very
there.
fair caveat. I'm not like flabbergasted. How could it happen? It makes sense
Me
that it
neither.
happened. Very
Well,
bad move.
I'm more flabbergasted that there was nobody around him that said, "Don't do that." I'll put it to you that way.
That's a very good point. Yeah,
All right. I said I want to rant about the Irish.
I got
Do
some
you
stuff too.
you
You
want me
go
to just
first.
no? Oh my God. What a bunch of crybaby little whiny B words, man. Like these these guys, like, not only are they trying to make up every scenario in their head, and I will go back to this. You can give me 20 reasons why Notre Dame deserved to be in over Miami. Doesn't matter. I only need the one. Miami beat you. There it is. We're done. We play the games. The rankings are out. Be a big boy. That's it. And then to come out and say, like, oh, we're not playing in a bowl game this year. Join a conference. Join a damn conference at this point. I'm so sick of like this Notre Dame's, like, we get primetime television every week for no reason other than because everybody thinks that they want to watch Notre Dame when it's no, it's not that. You just have like really wealthy donors and you have that whole Irish Catholic thing going on. I don't want to get into the Catholicism stuff, but like, my God, like, play the sport. Stop being crybabies. You went to the national championship last year. You got beat. Deal with it. You had a good season. Guess what? You lost two clutch games that you should have won. You didn't. And then the other team, who granted might not have had as many team reasons to go to the playoffs, still beat you. And now you go to your bowl game and you give your seniors their last game that they get to play in probably most of them's entire life. And now you're just, all right, I'm going to
No,
blow smoke out of my
and
ears.
also be mad at Alabama. Don't be mad at Miami. Alabama was a
Yeah.
3-loss team. Like, I have some more stuff on Notre Dame.
Go ahead.
Let's take things back to the 2001 Fiesta Bowl, where number 11 Notre Dame played number 6 Oregon State. That was a BCS game between 6 and 11. Now,
Yep.
Oregon State, number 16 in the conference, or in the country, makes sense that they go to a BCS game. But how did number 11th ranked Notre Dame sneak in? Who did they snub? Well, Tyler, our beloved Hokies that year finished 10-1, Big East champions.
I
They were
love you
ranked
bringing it
number
back.
5 in the BCS. They were
I
ranked
love
number
you bringing it back.
5. They got skipped. So Notre Dame could go and get absolutely spanked 41-9 against Oregon State in the Fiesta Bowl. Now let's go 19 years in the future, the 2020 season, when Notre Dame could not schedule any games with the Pac-12, with the Big Ten. Who saved their season? ACC. They let them be, little make-believe members of the conference for football for one season. And it paid out because they made the college football playoffs that year. They wouldn't have even had a season if it weren't for the ACC. So it's really just, I would say the actions and the reaction by the Notre Dame AD, whose name I can't remember, but it is a little funny sounding, uh,
That,
worse than Diego Pavia, because Diego Pavia is a
yep.
25-year-old. Like I said, he's having it goes Sharon
Look,
Moore, Notre Dame AD, Diego Pavia in my list of crash outs this
I'm
week.
with you. No, look, and that like there's reasons for hating all of them. You know what I mean? Like Sharon Moore, like that's real life bad stuff. Diego Pavia, he's just turning heel like a WWE wrestler. This is just pansy attitude. I saw this meme online where it was some guy who peed his pants in the middle of a party and everybody's laughing at him. And then it's just a little thought bubble of the guy smiling. He's like, I live in everyone's head rent free. And I'm just like, yeah, that's Notre Dame. But
Marcus
nah,
Freeman, we still like Marcus Freeman though.
it's still so beautiful, beautiful man.
He's a good looking guy.
There needs to be some kind of fine or some kind of punishment for Notre Dame for this. I don't know what that is,
Oh, no,
but they can't.
the college football playoff committee, they came down harsh on Notre Dame. They
Oh,
punished
did they?
them by starting next year, as long as Notre Dame finishes in the top 12, they make the CFP. Did you catch that? That little
Are
thing
you
that came
serious?
out in the last week? Yeah, there's like a weird contractual agreement that starting next year, Notre Dame, all they have to do is finish in the top 12, they make the CFP. That provision is not in there for, let's see, Navy? No, Army? It's not in there for any other, I believe both of those guys are in conferences,
Dude,
but not in there for
uh,
any other,
I
non
need to stop. I need to stop talking about this, or I'm
let's
gonna get my
go yeah,
games so
let's get
mad.
into some games.
Let's talk football. Let's talk football.
Mm.
Folks, we got a great one happening this Friday night game. Friday night game. They're going to be battling for the spot with the Logan Paul fight, which I hear a lot of people saying it's going to be the first time the Logan Paul or no, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul actually gets knocked out, but that's how Jake Paul gets lures people in with the fake promise of getting knocked out, and he
Gonna
never
say,
does.
like, there's some gravity to those fights are maybe fixed ahead of time because Anthony Joshua is a monster. So we'll see about
We'll
that.
see what
But
happens.
also, this game starts 8 p.m. I don't think they're going to do the main event walk in that fight until about like 12:30.
You're probably not wrong.
So
Well, you know more about that stuff than I do, but yeah, we got Bama at Oklahoma. Um, we got a lot of stats on here, Kev. I didn't really read through them that much. But look, it's tough for me to forget that head to head. I have to go back and check, but the Tide screwed all three of us in the picks in that first matchup. I don't know if you remember. We all picked them and
yeah.
they just flopped on the game. So now the script is completely flipped, and I feel like I'm an idiot to pick Bama again, right? But either way in this game, this is kind of a cool thing I thought about. We're gonna have a repeat of the first matchup in that we're either going to have a Oklahoma victory or we're gonna have an upset on the favorite team's home turf.
True. Yeah. I mean, it
Yeah,
is kind of a win-win as a, unbiased third party because we either get to see Alabama lose, which it's tough,
everybody
but
likes to see
we're
that.
conditioned to like that. Or yeah, we get to see the first, home team lose one of these matchups. Yeah, you're not
Looking at Bama
crazy
to
if you
snap a 3-game potential losing streak that they don't wanna see happen, so
I was gonna actually that was when I was driving down tonight, 4-hour car ride in the rain. I
sick.
was thinking, so if Alabama does lose to Oklahoma, that'll be 3 straight losses to Oklahoma. Is that
Correct.
what other team
That's
has done that to Bama since
that's a good point,
I
actually, I
wanted to
didn't
look
think
it
about
up
that.
before, but I couldn't I mean, in the chat, if anybody does know that, that would be very interesting. If any I
I
mean,
feel
since Nick Saban took over, has there been a team that's beaten Alabama 3 straight years? Like, maybe
I'm trying
Auburn
to
got
think of
him
their
back-to-back
losses that
years?
n I it wouldn't have been recently enough for Auburn, yeah, okay, just trying to think of Alabama's losses this season to see if anybody else would be on there because
No, I mean, they
Alabama
avenged the Vanderbilt loss.
correct.
Um,
And
yeah,
then wait,
that's
I can't remember who are Alabama's losses. Okay, there obviously was the Georgia game at
Georgia
the title
and
game, and they
Florida
lost to
State.
Oklahoma. Florida State, I can't imagine Florida State's on there. I forgot about the Florida State one.
Yeah, because I
Um,
remember Alabama played Florida State in, like, 2019. They played them somewhat recently, beat them. But
yeah,
I will say in that first game, you can see the stats right there. They put up 326 yards passing against Oklahoma. It was not their ability to move the ball that was the issue. It was all of the turnovers. They had 3 turnovers. They had a Oklahoma had a defensive touchdown. There were also other fumbles that Alabama ended up recovering their own fumbles. Like it could have been a 4 or 5 turnover margin. There was a couple not dropped interceptions, but interceptable balls that didn't. It was a complete like collapsing in on themselves by
yeah,
Alabama. Like they
yeah.
were moving the ball as much as they needed to, but they just get to a point where they decide, all right, good place as ever, pull out the pistol, shoot himself in the foot. And that was the story there. But that Alabama team, that's not the same Alabama team right now. Like
No,
they've not, I mean, you can see there, I don't think they've had a really impressive win since they beat Tennessee at home 37-20. I mean, they eked by Auburn. They beat the hell out of what, Citadel? I got their schedule here. Yeah, or
that
sorry, Eastern
SEC
Illinois.
the week that the SEC took off.
Yeah.
That yeah,
I mean, they lost to Oklahoma. They beat LSU 20-9 right after LSU fired their coach. Barely got by South Carolina. Like it's not the same. They've fallen a
it's
little bit
not.
since that first meeting. In that first meeting as well, Alabama did not start a drive farther than their own 30-yard line. Last week against Georgia, they didn't start a drive farther than their own 25-yard line. Meanwhile, Georgia started 3 drives inside Alabama territory. In this first meeting between Alabama and Oklahoma, I believe Oklahoma started 4 drives inside Alabama territory. So, field position and turnovers, those are 2 things that you can kind of fix up, Those are things that if you're more prepared, you can you can fix those. And so if that happens, could be completely different outcome in Norman. But yeah, that's I think those were kind of my main
Okay,
stats.
I'm gonna let you go, Kev. I'm not yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Oklahoma, yeah, I think they need to clean up their penalties. Bama's been really good not committing penalties. They're 42 yards per game. The reason I think Oklahoma's going to win this game, and I could have just put money line, but I think they are a good run defense. And what have I been saying about Alabama all year? Florida State beat them because they were able to make them one dimensional. They're a great passing team, but when they can't run the ball, I mean, you see they ran for a total of -3 yards against Georgia. When they
Yep.
don't have the threat of a run game, it kind of, you're able to just rush 4, drop back 7, and yeah, that's what I think is gonna happen.
Okay, Kev. Um, so here we got 2 junior QBs who have only both of them only one season as starters, both making their first CFP appearance. Sooners are number 2 in sacks, number 1 in opponent yards per rush, and number 6 in opponent yards per play. Those are some hungry boys on the D line down there in Norman. I think you and I both know that. The Sooners don't break the top 25 of any offensive metric on teamrankings.com. Bama only breaks the top 25 in being number 18 in pass yards per game and number 3 in interception percentage. Ty Simpson, as we both know, is a guy who's got a lot of weapons to throw to. That's probably why they have some pass yards per game stats that were falling off recently, like you've said. You know what I mean? And then he's also just a careful guy. All that being said, I think it's going to be a defensive game, and I think that both of these defenses are going to put a lot of pressure on two quarterbacks that aren't going to have a lot to say. So I'm going to step back from the spread.
Huh.
I'm just taking the under in this. Look, I don't like this game with the spread. I really just don't. I can't. I think it could go either way. I really, really do. Gun to my head as a gambler, I would probably take Alabama just because I hear the 3-game like losing streak to one team. As a gambler, that gives me some pause. So, but again, that's gun to my head. So I'm going to take the under. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. I really do.
I have one stat, not that I'm
Okay.
trying to convince you of the over. Um,
All right.
Oklahoma, 100% red zone scoring.
Yeah, I saw that. I
That's
did see that.
insane, kind of. They haven't, you know, gotten
Well, they
stopped
have
on
to
fourth
get
down.
there.
They haven't
That's you know
missed
what
a
I
field
mean.
goal. They haven't turned the ball over in the red zone. That's pretty impressive. I think they
Hey,
do settle for field goals a lot, but I think
stats are
you
meant
need
to be broken. They're due for a red zone scoreless possession.
how many points do you think it takes to win this game by either team?
Well, I mean, 20 to 21. I don't understand the question.
I just mean like if you're an Alabama fan or you're an Oklahoma fan, what's the
How
least
much do
amount of
they have
point?
to score to win the game?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
what would you feel comfortable?
Like score deficit or just score on the board?
Like I think if one team can score 21 points, I think they can win this game. I think they win this game easily.
I mean, with saying that, I don't know how you're going with the over, but okay. Um,
Yeah, I didn't think that through, but I I sorry, you threw me you made me pause when you didn't understand my question. I feel like it's a pretty standard question. Like how many points
well,
do you
you
think
got it
it
messed
takes to
up,
win
so
this game?
clearly it's not.
Well, how many points do you think it takes to win this
Next
game?
game.
All
All
right.
right.
And like and subscribe and thank you guys.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
wait, I forgot to do that. Oh, yeah, like and subscribe, guys. Thank you guys for joining in. I'm going to be making sure that next week we are starting college basketball. Kev, I saw two very close, almost upset games where an American team almost beat an SEC opponent last night. One was in Memphis versus Vanderbilt, and another one was where Bama almost lost to USF. I know I'm talking actual. It's funny how those two headlines could almost sound like football, but nope, that was basketball. I promise you.
Yeah,
And
and
then I
that Vandy
saw
game went into overtime, right?
it did. The Memphis game went into overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I heard that the Memphis coach, one of his players, what he started doing because he hasn't been a very disciplined player, he didn't like do a motivational thing. He didn't make him run laps. He started fining him. And I'm
Huh.
like, all right, that's motivation. Adapt. Good stuff. Okay. But yeah, like and subscribe, guys. We're going to be doing college basketball soon, and I really appreciate you guys joining in and comment on what you guys would like us to be covering next. All right. Kev, you go.
All right. This is a good one. This is
Mhm.
one where we have two teams that I think both people or all of the country might be doubting their ability to play in the big moment, like to
Yeah.
when the lights are bright, do they shy away? But this is also one that the 3-point spread. I think this should be dead even just because it's so hard to predict which team's going to come out. Texas A&M, I believe both of their
It's three and
coordinators
a half now, just so you know.
3.5. That's interesting. But both
It
Texas
is
A&M
interesting.
coordinators have taken other jobs. I believe they're
Yep.
still, going to be coaching, but like same thing for Oregon as well, actually. So there's there's been kind of pilfered coaching staffs
I like
across
that
this
word.
college football playoffs. But
There's only
this,
been one team and one coach that has moved on who is not coaching, and it's the guy.
yeah, yeah,
Go ahead.
I didn't prepare like an intro for this one. I
No,
do
I
think
got
it
you.
kind of
Okay, here we
speaks
go.
for itself. You're
Well,
at
the only intro that we need, we'll take it from here, is that we have the two teams who spoiled Notre Dame's season. So I'm happy. I like both of these teams for that sole reason. Thank you for doing God's work.
God's work.
Yep. Ain't I a stinker? Okay, yeah, let me take some notes here. Look,
I was gonna say,
Miami
was that
has
the
just
intro you prepared? Very
that was
nice.
it. Yeah, that was it.
Better than
Look,
mine.
all right, let me get into some points here. I don't think Miami has been poised that great when you look at their losses this year. But if you were to look at the rosters, and I'm just looking at the vibe check here, kind of Miami, I do think has more pizzazz players, like the storyline with Carson Beck, and can play good games. He can, quote unquote. But then Malachi Tony and Ruben Bain Jr. are both like breakout star players. But I don't know, man. I think the Aggies just have a more complete roster, and that's a kind of cliche term that I've been using a lot this year. But you look at guys like Craver, Casey Concepcion, what's the defensive end's name? Cassius Howell. Like they are
Dalton
coming
Brooks.
back. What's that?
Dalton Brooks, they got good safety as
Brooks,
well.
that's right, of course. Back to zero, have this. And one thing I will say, and I'm giving my pick away kind of early, but it is what it is. I have to stick with my take that the ACC collectively was just a bad product this year, man. Hand up, ultimate accountability. And all of Miami's victories that have essentially got them here outside of Notre Dame all came in ACC wins. You know what I mean? So, Mario Cristobal, that guy is not a good game manager, Kev. He's just not. He does not come in clutch. Texas A&M has shown that they can come back and win games they are meant to. Sprinkle in the fact that they're playing in College Station. I like to think that this is going to be their first playoff experience in College Station. Those Aggie fans are going to be going nuts.
Loud.
Nuts.
At 11
And
AM too.
I
I mean,
know.
there's a
Oh my
chance
God.
Miami walks in, gets punched in the mouth, gets screamed in their ear,
They're gonna
and they're
have the
reeling because
cop in the
they've
hall. The cop in the hall might not just shove a player this time. He might just take out the billy club and start beating
uh,
him right there on the spot. I hope that doesn't come off in the wrong way. And this is also against a Miami team who, if we're being honest, they probably don't know what the sound of a home team cheering even sounds like because they won't to Miami. All right. I've given
yeah,
my pick away, Kevin. I'm not going to have anything else to go with.
I got
What do
some
you got?
stuff. Yeah, I got some stuff, and actually, I found my notes on what I've meant to be the intro for this. So, just some history on this rivalry.
Beautiful.
Miami leads their 5 meetings. They've won 3 times. Their first ever meeting, A&M beat Miami 70-14. That was back in 1944. Both
Jesus.
quarterbacks, Carson Beck and Marcel Reed, they both have 25 touchdowns and 10 INTs on the season, which is kind of an interesting coincidence. Miami's defensive backs are ball hawks. If their pass rush can come through, I think they're going to force Marcel Reed into some issues. He has thrown
Mm,
multiple interceptions in his last,
yes.
I want to say 3 games, maybe 4. But yeah, they're both also atrocious with penalties. So I
Yeah.
think that's one where I think Texas A&M will do better because they are the home team. I could see Miami getting 3 or 4 false starts, illegal shifts, delay of games, stuff like that that could really hurt a drive. Um, and yeah, the only other note, I kind of put Texas A&M similar to Alabama with their offense, where they need to have a hint of a run game for their pass game to go wild.
I like
Um,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
and people say Miami's run defense is really good, which it is. However, Virginia Tech was able to run for I think a buck 80 on them. So there is a blueprint to run on Miami. I think it's going to be Texas A&M is going to need to have methodical drives down the field. Miami's defense is great at preventing big plays. Texas A&M's offense is not great at generating big plays. Miami
Mm.
number 2 in the country in time of possession. So it just underscores the fact that Texas A&M, they can't be getting cute. They should really minimize their deep shots because again, Miami's DBs will pick those off. I think they need to have, 4 or 5 yards of play all the
Yeah.
way down the field, demoralize Miami, get up early, and watch them collapse in on themselves. You can go ahead, click my pick. I think
Of
I've kind
course.
of
And Kev, one thing I want to ask you, I think from what you said, it's pretty clear you're going to go Texas A&M. But say one of these teams were to go down by like 17 points at any point in the game, and there's let's say a quarter and a half left to play. Carson Beck, Marcel Reed, who do you trust more?
Oh, I'll take the guy who came back 30-3 down at half,
There it
especially
is.
home field advantage always helps with the
Yeah.
comeback.
Oh my God. And that's why I think it's pretty obvious we're in lockstep in this one.
I'd
Um,
actually also like to add my pick for an under. I think under
and under.
51.5.
No,
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely. You got anything else to add?
Do.
Well, the only other
Oh,
thing
wait,
I
no,
would have to
one last
say,
thing. Do you see that note I have, under Texas A&M? They're in the
yes.
current storylines. Do you
Oh
understand what
yeah,
that
no,
means?
I agree with that big time about how this could be like a good run for them, and like that was a wake up punch in the mouth, so to speak. I think that was a good loss to have. I do, and it's Texas. Was a team that came alive at the second half of the season. We've both been saying that, so
Texas at
I'm
home, dangerous. Took out
yeah, very
Oklahoma. Yep.
dangerous. Arch Manning next year, gonna love to see what his development is like in the offseason. I'm gonna just say that. Um, okay. Before we get to the next one, everybody, thank you for sticking it out and watching for the 7 or so minutes of this video. Bless up. We are going to be doing college basketball starting next week and also some other bowl games potentially, depending on how we look. I always love watching the Pop Tarts Bowl, even though a little bit of the wind has been taken out of watching bowl games now with the CFP being what it is. It just in my personal opinion. But that being said, please like and subscribe, guys.
And shout out Buzz Williams, Texas
Shout out
A&M
Buzz
basketball
Williams.
coach,
That's
so
right. All right, let's get into the next one. All right, I'm going to start this one off. We got Tulane, the Green Wave, going to the team that has been ball hogging all the spotlights down there in Oxford, Mississippi. This is going to be an afternoon game this Saturday. We got a spread of 17.5 in favor of Ole Miss, over under 55.5. We got Mr. John Sumrall going to Florida after this game. Ole Miss, starting with their DC, who has now been elevated to the full-time coach, not just the interim coach, and Mr. What's his face. Why am I blanking? And I have it written down. Pete
I will
Golding.
also
Thank you
say
very much.
this might not be Summerall's last game with Tulane. If he
Okay.
wins, come on now.
Okay.
Come on
Okay.
now.
Now,
You'll look
Bev, you
foolish.
start. You start. You start.
All right. The big question about this game, because listen, this game has happened in the exact same stadium at not the exact same time, actually. I believe the first matchup between these two was a noon game. But what is different? What makes us think, is there any reason why this shouldn't be another 45-10 win by Ole Miss? And if anything, maybe it would be more given the first game, because now this is, when it's early in the season, you're, 2 touchdown spread favorite,
Yep.
you kind of slack off a little bit. You don't slack off in this. So they're going to get the full might of this Ole Miss team. But Ole Miss hasn't played since they beat Mississippi State 2 weeks ago. Tulane's got some momentum. They really put a hurting on North Texas in that game,
Oh
forced
yeah.
5 turnovers. I don't think Trinidad Chambliss has had a game where he's thrown multiple interceptions. I think he's been very good. I think this whole Ole Miss team
Consistent.
has been
Yeah.
good. What?
No, they've been consistent. I think you
Yeah.
look at Ole Miss's season. I think that the few times that they've had it in like close play, that it's never really gotten away from them, so to speak. They've always been like consistently in it. Their only losses remind me one more. Oh, it was Georgia. That's right. Yeah, I can't see a world where Ole Miss drops the ball like you said, Kevin. And okay, I'm gonna take over for a sec. I like Ole Miss to cover so much. Put a pin in that. I think it is a little stupid of me right now being so emotional with my pick because I really like group of five teams coming in and making a statement for themselves like you do. Now, let's rewind back to when these guys first played. I took a vibe pick for Tulane to cover because I thought it was a good upset spot. I was proven deadly wrong. It was a 45-10 rout. Now, gun to my head, and we're going to talk about the JMU game after this. Tulane has a much better setup than JMU does in this matchups. When you talk about both travel and just skill of the team they're playing, the coaching situation, yada yada, yeah, you would much rather be the Green Wave than the Dukes right now. I think hands down. Um, what do we think about Pete Golding as the new head coach? What do we think? Now, look, one thing I'm going to say, he's a DC. I can't remember if they got Charlie to come back to play or to coach for this. I think they did, but either way, if I remember correctly, Pete's going to be the one doing the play calling, and he's a DC, so they're going to play a conservative game, in my opinion. And remembering the first time that these guys matched up, Tulane was dumb enough to play two quarterbacks throughout the game. They've since wisened up since that game, and Jake Retzlaff has been the only one who's been playing, and I think he's developed into more than just a mobile QB who's going to scuttle into the end zone, and he's actually making some diverse throws. Most of that I'm saying that from comes from when they're playing like a lot worse opponents than Ole Miss, mind you. But I do still think he has more of a semblance of making good game time decisions than he did at the beginning of the season and maybe even last year when he was at BYU. So that being said, Kev, I think I'm ready to jump into the picks. What do you think?
I'll just add,
Okay. And it's
lost my
overtime in Seattle.
they forced overtime. That is crazy. Just my
It's a
train of thought
crazy
on
game.
it is, look, Tulane cannot fall down. I think it was 3-23 against Ole Miss. Ole Miss scored on the first 5 drives. You're going to need to at least be, you're going to need to be within 10 points at halftime if you want a chance. I think if we talk about the spread, I have 2 points to make, then we'll go right to our pick. So if we talk about the
Yeah.
spread, say Ole Miss jumps out to a 24-point lead, they're probably going to start thinking about resting their starters in the second half. Maybe Tulane gets, touchdown, field goal, covers that way. That is why I am more inclined. I mean, giving away my pick, but more inclined
Yeah. Yeah.
to
All
take
right.
them to
We're
cover. A lot of it's with my heart. Hey, last
same
week in the
here, man.
conference
Same here.
championship games,
Yeah.
there were 3 rematches in the conference championship games. 2 of them went the other way. Also, in the Tulane Memphis game earlier this year, there was maybe 3 quarters of that game where Tulane's offense looked unstoppable against, like you said,
Yeah.
against the Memphis defense. But hey, I'm maybe just trying to talk myself into getting excited for this game.
Yeah,
I hope Tulane can
I'm
make it
doing
interesting.
myself the reverse double jinx a little bit with the emotions and remembering like how this pick went for me last time. You know, part of me is like, will it happen again? Well, I can't expect the opposite result, so I'm just going to stick to my guns and say I like the vibe pick of Tulane. And if I like one of the group of five teams to actually cover and make the game interesting, it's going to be Tulane. And I kind of probably giving away the next game. But that being said, before we get to the next game, everybody, thanks for joining in. This has been an awesome football season. Kevin has one more thing before I do the closing statement. Go.
And this is just, why is Ole Miss the number 6 seed and Oregon's the number 5 seed? Why
I
not
don't
just
know.
flip them just for the sake of not having this rematch, you know? This that
I
that
think
was
it's a better storyline having the rematch, if I'm being honest with you. That's
maybe,
just me. And like both
but
coaches
on the merits
leaving.
also, Oregon beat USC at home, all right? Ole Miss beat Oklahoma on the road. Ole Miss beat LSU. Ole Miss beat
Okay,
other
LSU.
teams.
Can we count LSU as good? And then
Actually,
this is
wait,
gonna.
sorry. I have their schedule right here. Sorry.
All
I can
right,
just
but
read
while you
you
do
off.
that, I'm going to say no. I'm not going to give away my points for the next one. Um, Fine. I'll just accept it at face value before we get to the next game, and then we can talk about it again. Are you done?
Yes, yeah. Thank
Okay.
you guys for watching. Tulane fans, I've loved talking to y'all this season. So I really hope you guys catch lightning in a bottle, and we're talking about y'all playing, what would it be? Not Ohio State, Texas Tech next week? Georgia?
I
Who
have
would
to look
they
at the bracket. I what
6 versus
eh,
11?
you will
Chris,
certainly. I tell you what, Kev, they will probably be playing either Ohio State, Georgia, Texas Tech, or they'll probably be playing one of those teams.
Texas Tech, that's my final guess. Like and subscribe.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe and tune in when we start talking about college basketball. All right. The best football team in Virginia is in a bowl game for the CFP. Kev, you can't deny it. I'm sorry, man. They made the CFP. They're the best team in Virginia. Now, that being said, oh, wowza, look at that spread. This is going to be a night game, too. They'll be playing Outson Stadium. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sure when we post this to Oregon's Reddit page
We've
that they'll
gotten
correct my
flamed for
grammar.
saying it wrong
Um,
before, and I can't remember. I don't think it's Outson. I don't think the emphasis is
Autzen,
on that. I think it's like
Autzen
Owlson.
in Autzen in Eugene, Oregon. Yeah, great town. Love it there and all that, as we all know. But the over under in this one is 49 and a half. I thought that was shockingly low. I really did. But here we go. We got to talk about this one. Um, Lanning, the man likes to make statements. Good?
Yeah, no, I was just doing my Lanning impression
Oh, okay. My bad.
after beating Penn State. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, no. One thing we know about that guy is when he is expected to win definitively, he covers. I got a one this year. Their record this year against non-conference team is 3-0, and that score differential was 169 to 23, man. Hell of a difference. We also got to look at this. Oregon has to be feeling good. I wasn't going to bring this up in the last game that we talked about, but at the end of their season, they beat some pretty good opponents. USC, Iowa, Washington. They really came back from that throttling that they had against Indiana. And look, I know you can't say that Oregon has probably had the most impressive resume, but when they are expected to win, they do come out shooting. They and Jacorian Moore, he's going to be playing again this weekend. And so is the one other defensive player. I forget his name, and I'm sure somebody will cook me in the Reddit comments. That's
Jaden
fine.
Kennedy or Tetium Tiopti?
Yeah, one of those. Yes. And you combine Jacorian Moore, Kenyon Sadiq, and then you have a healthy Dante Moore who's going to be just running up and down the field, too. He's a very mobile quarterback who can keep his head on a swivel, as we both know. It's going to be tough for the Dukes to contain this. Kev, what do you got?
Look, it's the path is hard. The path is there. All right. I mean, JMU does have a great run defense. That's gonna. It's always tough when you're comparing because you're comparing apples to oranges in level of opponents, and then
Yep.
two, this is not like a regular season game if these two teams played. You're going to be getting the full might of Oregon. Um, it's a tough one. They one thing JMU has going for them. They did play last week. They're not going to be as rusty, perhaps. Let's
That's
see.
fair.
I did have a couple things. So JMU does a lot better on defense getting off the field on third and fourth down. Oregon, if there is a place where their defense, which they do have a great defense, is slightly lackluster, opponents convert 2 out of 3 fourth downs against Oregon on average. Uh, Almost 4 out of 10 third downs. So, JMU, they're a run heavy team, which is going to be tough going against the number 20th ranked rush defense. Say you call a couple good counters, a couple pitches, a couple draws up the middle that gets you ahead of the sticks. I think that's going to be the name of the game, ahead of the sticks, and you'll need a lot of luck. That's to win the
I
game.
love the football cliches. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. But
Are
hey,
you good?
I mean, you go ahead, reveal my pick. and picking because I want to see close games. There's nothing better than when we pick an upset or we pick the underdog to cover the spread and it's halftime and they might upset. That's such a good feeling. I'm chasing that. I do have the under because I could see this being a 35-7 game.
Okay.
I could see it being a blowout, but yeah, I see you got over.
Turnover on downs in overtime, by the way. Seattle's got the ball back. Yeah, there's 7 minutes left in first OT. Okay. Um, okay. Yeah, and I'm leaning completely opposite of you, Kev. A lot of this does also factor into me that there's a lot of travel involved for the Dukes here. And it's not something that they're going to be necessarily used to, so to speak. Hey, but maybe it'll give a little bit of a taste for a lot of those JMU players who are thinking of following Bobby Chesney, what traveling to the West Coast is like. But, and then, I do just think that, Corian Moore coming back is going to give a lot of help. I don't know if it's 100%. It looks like he was practicing 3 days ago, so all signs are pointing to yes. And Dan Lanning's just record, and I think his tenure in these big game opportunities says a lot more than what JMU has. Look, JMU has had such a Cinderella story with the last 5 years, coming from an FCS team into the Sun Belt, having Mr. Kirk Signetti bring him to the top of the Sun Belt, and continued success with Bob Chesney. Who knows what their future is like, but at some point you got to just come back down to earth, and I think that happens with this game. So I'm taking Oregon to cover, and the over, just because if Oregon's going to cover, that's already going to get me pretty much halfway there, and I don't think it's going to be like a completely scoreless blowout. I think JMU still manages to get points on the board. I just do think I could see it being like something, I don't know, like 30, I'm just thinking out loud here, 38 to 14 game, so to speak. So yeah, that's what I'm going with. And I'm going to be excited to watch this one. I think it'll be a good end to see it. Yeah, nah, I'm good on that. What else you got, Kev?
I mean, JMU's had the magic happen the last 3 weeks. I mean, they needed 3 weeks ago, they needed some losses to happen just to get that Virginia Duke ACC championship matchup. And
Yeah.
then once they got that, they needed Duke to win, went to overtime. They still got it. Like, they got a little bit of magic with them. I think they are truly a Cinderella story. We'll just see if it is midnight for this team or if they will live to fight another round. It would be. I do hope at some point we get an upset, like a true Power Five,
Yeah.
Power Four conference team loses. That would be so great. I don't know if we're gonna get it this year,
The,
but
the problem I'm starting to think about that, Kev, is like with all the Power Four conferences cannibalizing the teams that are looking good, that's what makes it less likely in my mind. Like I agree that with the NIL and CFP and transfer portal, this is the era in which for it to happen, but it's just a matter of whether or not those teams are still a group of five when that upset happens, I think. But that being said, yeah, it's gonna be a good game. You got anything else to add on that?
no.
No? Okay.
Looking
Well,
forward.
I should say this to all of our friends who are Duke graduates. I do apologize that I'm not riding with you. I was rooting for you guys to get here, and I'm happy that you did. I think to have been in the CFP itself is awesome, but I do think it ends here. That being said, thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it this way into the entire video, you are the real ones. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mrs. Osborne. And, be sure to like and subscribe if you like what me and Kev are putting out. Puka Nacua touchdown in overtime. And that being said, if you guys want us to cover any college basketball program, please make sure to comment that. And we are going to get that going starting next week. It's looking like it's going to be an exciting college basketball season just from the games that me and Kev have started watching. So like and subscribe, and thank y'all so much. Quick little recap. I mean, there's not really much else to talk about. Kev, we didn't do vibe check parlays or NFL corner this week. I kind of like that. Let's just keep it clean. And we already know what we know about Jared. He's smarter than both of us. So that being said, Kevin, You know what? Let's decide while we're recording the show. What day of the week are we doing basketball?
I think it makes sense to do it Sunday.
Boom. Done. We got a Sunday ritual. Look at that. All right, folks, you heard it here first. We're not going back on that from every week starting next week or this week.
We're probably not going to get it in this Sunday.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, fine. Sunday after Christmas, tune in. We're going to be doing college basketball, turning it around, hoops up. All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Peace.
guys.